I know, sorry. Go. I can hear. We are live?
All right.
Good evening, everybody. We're calling this meeting to order. It's the budget hearing meeting of the Tuxedo Union Free School District today, Wednesday, May 6, 2026. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Madam Clerk, please do a roll call and quorum check.
Harry Hefner.
Here.
Susan Mitchell.
Here.
Bonnie Takuchi. Here. William Clark.
Here.
Ron Monroe-Tree.
Here.
Chris Scanlon.
Here.
John Michelle Tijerina.
Here.
Kaylee Donnelly.
Not present, but a quorum is present, correct?
Yep.
Do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Second? Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
First thing on the agenda is our budget presentation, which is our main reason for being here tonight. I can see our business administrator, Walter Kaufman, coming to the podium, and I'm guessing we're going to dim the lights and watch the presentation. Thank you in advance.
Good evening, everyone. Tonight we're doing the budget hearing. One date left, that's May 19th. This is our annual budget vote and election of Board of Ed. So through this budget process, there were budget reductions. So we had staff deductions in the amount of $679,188. Field trips and guest speakers was $15,529. Equipment was $20,000. Supplies and techs was $50,220. Clubs $463. Athletics was $18,960, and contribution to Union Welfare Fund was $85,000. So the reductions that we had was a total of $890,360. To get here, we have our proposed adopted
Walter,
budget.
can you go back for a second?
Sure.
Just to be clear, can you explain what that reduction is from? Because I thought on some budget lines, some board members felt on some budget lines, the reality of the situation in a perfect world, we would actually want increases. This is not reductions of where we thought the budget should be in a perfect world. It's reductions from what starting point?
This was reductions from the cost to continue budget.
Right, so to be clear, that's to keep everything the same, this is reductions from that point.
Correct, sorry.
It doesn't take into account what anybody thought the budget should be increased to for increased expenses, cost of living, inflation, gas costing more, wanting to hire a person for AI, any of those things. It's not counting that.
Yep.
It's just cost to continue. Can you describe what cost to continue budget
So the
means?
cost to continue the cost to continue budget basically is carrying everything over from this year into next year, all our services we use, contractual salaries. It's basically what our CPI technically is for our cost to continue budget.
So in Tuxedo, if this is what we're talking about, our cost to continue, almost every other school district in New York State is spending more money. We're actually cutting money in all these lines.
Correct, from our cost to continue,
Yeah.
yes.
So, and it doesn't take into consideration any cuts that were done coming into the school year.
No, it
Because
doesn't.
there were reductions last year in staff.
Yep, this is
particularly
strictly
in
just
staff.
this year's budget, rolling it over our cost to continue to
Contractors
next
that
year.
were eliminated.
Yep.
So all of the savings from this year are not recognized in that number. This is just kind of carrying it.
Yeah, for next year. These would be the reductions for next year.
And to be clear, we're not disparaging your slide. I just want to put it in perspective of it doesn't cover the 2-year period and what other districts are doing. It's simply saying, very simply, based on our budget this year, we're actually making all these cuts instead of increasing things like everybody else.
Correct. So our Proposition 1, which is our adopted budget, so our total operating expenses for next year is $15,856,877. This is an estimated tax rate increase for Tuxedo of 2.94%, for the estimated tax rate for Warwick of 6.63%. Our revenues are, we have our state aid of $1,097,313. Appropriation fund balance, this is $283,000. Other revenues, $640,013. And then our school tax levy of $13,836,551 for a total revenue of $15,856,877. So our tax levy increase is the $1,140,102 you see there. That is a tax levy increase of 8.98. A spending increase there is $760,123, or 5.04%. If we average these over the last 2 years, you'll see over there on the right-hand side, we have an average of $570,051, which is 4.49%. And then the spending increase was $380,062, which is 2.52%.
So Walter, before we move on real quick, the appropriation of fund balance is $283,000.
That is correct.
Now, this year obviously was an anomaly because we were in austerity and we got zero. With the past 3-4 years, actually past 4 years consecutive, we were using $500,000 a year in fund
Yeah,
balance?
500, and this year, not necessarily fund balance, but what we carried over, I think, is right around 690.
Right,
that we
that
will
was
be
into this
using.
year, but
Correct.
the years prior to that.
There was 500 being
We were looking
used.
at $500,000, year after year of fund balance, and we brought it down to $283,000.
Yes, that is
Okay,
correct.
so that's a significant reduction in the amount of money we're pulling out of our pocket to put into the budget.
Yeah,
So,
it's a good move in the right direction.
yeah, so Will, if I understand you, you're saying that the district for in the past sort of 4 or 5 years was deficit spending in the amount of at least $500,000, and this year we're taking a significant step to ameliorate that. And I believe the superintendent said at the last meeting that, or maybe it was, I don't know what meeting it was, there've been so many, at some meeting that he anticipates that with this step to 283,000 this year, that we're putting ourselves on a path to a balanced budget in the next year or two. Is that correct, Jeff?
Absolutely. It's a good move, definitely a good move.
So just to see what the propositions will look like, this is what it'll appear. Shall the Board of Education of Tuxedo Union Free School District be authorized to expand the sum of the $15,856,877 for the school district's purposes for the 26-27 school year, and to the levy the increased tax. Therefore, adoption of this budget requires a tax levy increase of 8.98%, which exceeds our tax levy increase limit by 2.61 for this fiscal year. Therefore, exceeds the state tax cap and must be approved by 60% of the qualified voters presented and voting. So since we are piercing the cap, it has to be a 60%.
And just to clarify, if we were not to pierce the cap, we would have to have cut we would have had to cut significantly more.
We would have. Yeah, we would have to bring the 8.98 down to a 2.61.
So what would that have looked like in real dollars? Instead of cutting $890,000, we would have had to
Do we
cut.
have that slide?
Do we? If not, that's
'Cause-
fine.
Yeah, because
But
we
if
had
we-
it.
I don't have
almost double.
Almost double. So we would have been cutting 1.6 million. Yeah.
The second proposition is for our 5-year transportation contract. So we've mentioned this a couple times in the past. So this is a 5-year transportation contract with First Student. The total amount there, the $8,099,456, is for that 5-year period. So from July 1st, 2026 through June 30th, 2031, and this is for all 3 contracts: home to school, summer school, and field trips and sports trips. Now, the note on the bottom, we've talked about this. The approval of the transportation proposition enables a 5-year cost structure with approximately $315,000 in budgetary savings. Without approval of this proposition, the first year's cost increase under the original pricing structure.
So Jeff and Walter, how does this cost compare to other small districts like us?
Well, the transportation, the pupil transportation industry has had some significant increases over the past few years. COVID really hit hard. Bus drivers are hard to find. The contracts that they're having to approve with their unions are significant. The cost of their equipment has gone up significantly. It's across the board, across the state. Districts everywhere are getting hit hard by transportation increases.
So am I reading this correctly to mean that if the voters do not approve this proposition, busing will still continue because it's legally mandated? It will just cost us $315,000 more to provide the same service?
That's right.
And it'll just be for 1 year. We'll have to go out to bid again next year.
And there's no telling what that could bring.
So a no vote on Proposition 2 is a vote for a lot more spending.
Yeah. Well, it would be more expensive, yes.
So this was used on the last presentation as well. No change here to the tax rate estimated impact. So Tuxedo's tax rate for the proposed budget, the 26-27 year, is $82.64. It's a $2.36 change. That's where your 2.94% comes in. And then Warwick's is $7.17. That's the 6.63% there. If we look at the increase based on average home assessed, so you'll see there for this year, the 7,878 assessed home would go up to 8,110, and then in Warwick, that's 7,566 goes up to 8,068. This is on an average assessed home, which is approximately has a market value of $870,000. These equalization rates are set by New York State Office of Real Property Taxes, and there could be changes in equalization rates as well as estimates in our total assessed value.
Can you just explain one more time what the equalization rate means and why it looks like Warwick is paying a higher percentage, but they're in fact paying, but we believe that to be fair?
It's what the state sends out, so then everybody's paying their fair share in taxes, so it takes a percentage basically of the projected market value of the home. So making sure that within the same district you're paying the fair amount of taxes.
So every town in the state, and they use a different what's called level of assessment, which is a fraction of a fair value. And they all use a different level of assessment. So the Office of Real Property Tax Services in New York State goes across the state, and they equalize it so that they try to make it the same so that a house of equivalent value is paying the equivalent amount of taxes.
So to give a little bit of a more picture, so if you have estimated market value of $500,000 at a 2.94 tax rate change, this is approximately $133.24 per year, which is less than $12 additional cost per month. Next, we have our three-part budget. So this breaks everything down into our administration, capital, and program, a total percentage of 100%. So administration percentage is 14.02, capital is 12.84, and program is 73.14. So what happens if we go under another contingency budget? So if the budget fails 2 separate votes, we enter into a contingency budget. This limits our tax levy for the prior year, which is this year, which is the same limit it was the year before. And we require additional reduction of $1,140,102 in reductions in expenditures, or potentially fund balance, or a combination of the two. Required reductions under a contingency budget is most equipment lines, non-essential maintenance, and then public use of facility/fields by community groups at no cost to the district. Possible reductions could be athletics, extracurricular activities, staffing positions, reducing elective support, AIS services, or even universal pre-K.
Or all of the above?
Or all the above. That is
So-
correct.
If this budget goes down, we're looking at having to go back this year, in the next couple of weeks, and find another 1.14 in savings.
Yeah, and savings
Yeah.
in one way or
Which-
another.
Would mean we would either have to start cutting everything, or we would have to start taking our fund balance and using the last of our savings, because we've had 2 years of zeros.
Yep.
And the only real savings we have is, reserve money.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll be using pretty much the last of, the cash in order to fund the expenditures for next year.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
So we would be cutting, the proposed budget already anticipates or contemplates $890,000 in cuts. We'd be cutting an additional 1.1, so that's $2 million this year, for the upcoming year. I think for this current school year, there was over $600,000 of cuts, so that puts us at $2.6 million cut in 2 years out of a $15 million budget. Chris, what percentage is that?
But doesn't take into account inflation.
No, I know, but
Right,
it's just like in
right.
2 years, if we have to cut $2.5 million out of a $15 million budget, we're cutting
It's just under 30%.
30% of the budget in 2 years.
Or, yeah,
No, it's not right.
20%.
20% of the budget in 2 years. I'm not the
Sorry.
math person.
I know.
Walter, if we go into contingency, how much goes back to the public?
How
Nothing.
much goes back to the public?
Goes back to the book.
I'm not sure what that means.
600,000 or something like that?
How much money goes back to the public?
Right.
What's your question?
Jeff, do you understand?
So if the tax rate remains the same,
Ta-
we're collecting the same amount of taxes that we did this year.
So the levy wouldn't increase, and so but the increase of the levy that we have would go away, and would go back to the levy that we had last year. It would probably be a negative tax rate increase.
be.
But I don't think taxpayer individually would really feel a tremendous savings there. And in the long run, it would be very damaging to the school district.
So I was told there were $600,000 or so that would go back to the public. Is that not accurate?
But yeah, whatever the increase is with the levy, that
No,
would go back.
He was asking like, will people get checks in the mail? We're not,
Or
it's
reduction?
illegal to send
I
Our-
think he means reductions in their tax bill.
Yeah.
Yeah, there'll be a reduction in tax bill. That's true.
I thought, we're not talking like a star rebate. People aren't getting checks. That's against the law.
No, I don't think that's what he was asking. I think he was asking if there'd be a reduction in people's property taxes. There would be, yeah.
In the short
Yes.
term.
Yep,
And it would be a very minimal reduction
right.
What did Ben Franklin say?
at a very significant cost. What did Ben Franklin say?
About pennies and pounds?
Oh, yeah. Penny wise, pound foolish.
Yeah. Because what would happen if if I have a $500,000 house, we've said this every meeting, but if I have a $500,000 house in Tuxedo, if we merge with the closest district to us in Orange County, this year, what would my tax increase be? Chris, do you know that?
I'm sorry, I was looking at something.
If
else.
I were to,
Monroe would be something that would probably go up 80%.
yeah,
I think that was the number we looked at when we were
yeah,
doing the.
Up
the
to
woodlands.
up to 80%.
Yeah,
I
up
think
to.
Walter gave us the number of up to 80%.
right.
So you
Somewhere
could,
in that ballpark.
you could save, a couple bucks and then pay 80%
Almost,
more
well, by
for
then
the
it'll be,
rest of your life.
by then it'll be double though,
Yeah.
because you haven't had a tax increase in 2 years. So I think it's fair to say, if these numbers aren't understood by the public and we're in an austerity budget again, we are one large step closer to the next budget presentation or a future budget presentation where my household would be involved, would be a district contingent to us and all of the districts contingent to us with the added increase of inflation. Basically, your taxes will double in a year or two down the road. So what people have to understand is, yeah, you could save literally $18 this year. And if you're paying $18,000 in taxes, in 2 years, you'll be paying $36,000 in taxes. In my mind, not a smart fiscal plan. I think this budget was a great collaboration of the administration, the Board of Education. We begged the public to participate. We begged groups to participate. Every single person that participated, their thoughts were considered. Very few things were unanimous, but clearly a consensus was reached. This presentation points out all the numbers. It's very important that once Walter ends this presentation, that the public understands these numbers. If they don't, they can ask questions. And the onus, unfortunately, is like the ship sailed. We have a budget, we have numbers. So the onus is going to be on this administration to make sure that these numbers are understood. Because if somebody thinks, hey, I can save $18, why wouldn't I want to? Well, in a year later, if we're paying $18,000 additionally, not a smart move. Does everyone agrees? Jeff, you agree? Everyone agrees that this was a budget that we thought was the best result after many, many hours of input, debate, and ultimately a consensus decision. Jeff, do you agree?
I think it's a very strong budget, yes.
Yeah. And any board member disagree?
No.
10
Walt-
meetings.
Walter, you're the business administrator, you agree?
10 meetings.
So if somebody, my point is the administration is going to work on explaining this budget to people, but anybody listening to this, if somebody is telling you something that doesn't match what we're saying, please contact us and we will explain these numbers. By law, these numbers have to be accurate. Our predictions have to be accurate. And if somebody's telling you something different, please contact us. We want to have that conversation to explain what these numbers mean and why this is a great budget.
And just to clarify, I was not advocating for that. I did push for 1.83% tax increases instead of the 2.94 currently.
So you agree that there had to
There had to be.
be an increase. If this budget doesn't pass, there won't be an increase.
Are you done with this slide, Walter?
No, so this one,
yeah.
so this is kind of just utilizing it with one of the presentations we did in the past. So the red there would be the if we were under a contingency, that would be the potential amount that we would either need to cut, a combination of cuts and fund balance total, or we could use all unassigned fund balance to offset a contingency budget. Now, if we did utilize bullet 3, which is just use all unassigned fund balance, we would have approximately $387,077 potentially left in our unassigned fund balance. And the issue, as you can see there, in 27, 28, when we go out for another budget again, we will need to close approximately $1.4 million shortfall, but then also have the contractual CPI increases that that come with a budget.
This is an amazing slide. Thank you. Just before we move on, Walter, so when we pull the lever at the polling station in 2 weeks, we're actually deciding what's going to happen with this budget going forward. But we're also setting ourselves up for the next budget.
Yeah,
So
you're always looking at the
when
next
you know,
one.
theoretically, you're not going to feel what you've really done or what's really happened until next March when they start the budget process, and they have to start finding another $1.23 million in savings.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and that's when we'll have a better handle on the inflation rate and how much we've spent of our savings to offset what we're looking at
Whatever
now.
the results are.
Whatever the results are.
Correct.
So technically, you're looking into the future for the casting of one ballot.
Yeah, for the following
the
year.
following year.
Has a
So it's
kind of
it's
a
very
snowball
scary
effect on it.
number, being that we just got through dissecting everything here, and it does not bode well for the future. I just want to say that.
yeah.
And Walter, could we return to the previous slide for one moment?
Sure.
So on the possible reductions column, right, if we're looking for $1.1 million, and you said we may need to cut. If we added up, well, the ones that are definite, the first and the second bullet point, if we added up all athletics, all extracurriculars, and UPK, does that get us close to $1.1 million?
I did that calculation already, it's not even 10%.
No,
right.
it doesn't.
It's a pittance.
So this is not what these are possible reductions, but people need to understand that to get close to that $1.1 million in a realistic way without spending almost every penny of our savings, the cuts would have to be so dramatic that not only would the students lose basically everything outside of key core academics that makes school an experience, but there would also be a threat to core academics, because even cutting the sort of surrounding services doesn't get us anywhere close to $1.1 million. So the situation is incredibly dire.
And Bronwyn, the cuts were 16%, approximately 16%.
16%?
16%
Okay.
over the last 2 years.
So it's 16% budget cuts over the last 2 years with the $2.5 million.
Okay, so proposed budget impact, we talked about that. So if the budget is approved, financial stabilization begins, predictable and responsive planning and protection of core programs. If it's not, deeper reductions will be required, increase in future financial risk, continued instability. And just a reminder, this budget must be approved by 60% of voters in order to pass. The budget date and site, so it is going to be Tuesday, May 19th, from 2 p.m. to 9 p.m., and it is right here in George Grant Mason Elementary School, right here in the multi-purpose room. Any other questions?
All right, thank you, Walter.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Walter.
Does anybody have,
Question?
no, I'm just looking for that.
There's a couple of
One
slides.
slide.
There's a few slides that are missing.
Okay. Is it on the website? Yes. It's already on there? Okay, so as long as the public can find it.
Yes.
That's great.
You're going to send
Yes,
that?
please do add that, because that's okay. I appreciate we are on austerity, but that's a fantastic slide.
Lights, please, yes. All right, we're at that portion of the meeting for public comment. There's a bunch of people here. Would anybody like to make a public comment? Sure, come on up.
Erica Stearns, 25 Schoolhouse Road. I need clarification on the 80% that would go, our taxes would go up if the school closed or we merged with another school. Two parts to that question. I don't understand where we got 80% from.
Sure.
And I understand that their taxes are much higher than ours. So that's the first part of that question. But also the second part of my question is, would it be required if we went to another contingency budget to merge, or would we still have that option of tuitioning students into other districts? Because that would be more cost effective, I would think, if we just paid tuition per kid to go to wherever. So I just don't understand the logistics of that. If you could explain that, if you know.
Yeah, a couple of people can jump in here if we want.
The cost of doubling the property taxes would be to merge with another district, which would be Monroe Woodbury. So the damage to the district itself would mean that we would have to start decoupling things. So obviously, there's always a possibility of tuitioning in or tuitioning out, but the savings to that haven't really been looked at. So, and even if they were, generally speaking, they do have a tendency to be completely and utterly offset by a drop in property value. Property values tend to drop anywhere from 5 to 15%, depending obviously on the studies that you look at. So it's really
Property
there's so
values
many-
drop, why? When a school
when
closes.
a school or a piece of a school closes, when you lose an educational pathway, there's a tremendous amount of evidence that says your home value will depreciate by a certain percentage, anywhere from 5 to 15%.
So it's like a
depending on which.
combo where our home value would reduce. We
But
would
your
have
taxes may actually come down a tiny bit.
Okay.
But this is all, you know,
Yeah, because I was doing the math
yeah.
earlier today, and I was doing, like, let's say on the high end you tuition out a student for 20,000. Let's even go higher and say 30,000.
What's the Seneca Falls rate?
I don't know.
Oh, I'm sorry, that's
I
the-
don't know. I'm
okay,
just
that's- all right.
hypothesizing. Like, I know what tuition would be at another public school, so I'm thinking, okay, 20, 30,000. Let's just say, times 180 kids is somewhere in the ballpark of like somewhere between 3.5 and $4 million. So like that, and I'm thinking about the $15 million budget we have. I'm just trying to understand why where the 80% came from, and if that would, like, that had to happen, where that came from compared to, like, if we just tuitioned our students out. Like,
I can at least,
long-term, do you understand what
I
I'm
can at
saying?
least answer the 80%.
Yeah.
So that's based on numbers that Walter put together and that Jeff has confirmed that compare the tax burden on a home in Tuxedo
Mm-hmm.
and a comparable home a home worth the same amount in Monroe Woodbury.
Got it.
And the difference that they pay is 80% higher for a house of the same value. So the one that I have on the top of my head is that a $2 million house in Tuxedo pays $18,000 a year in school taxes. That same $2 million house in Monroe Woodbury would pay $36,000 a
Got
year.
it.
And that has to do with the tax equalization rates and various things. So that would be the 80%. Now, in terms of whether the district would close if there was a contingency budget, this is my way of looking at it. It's not like an on-off switch. It's not
Right.
like if contingency, then close.
Right.
But what it does do is, as we've talked about many times, we have a problem of declining enrollment. If we go into another contingency budget and we strip away all of the surrounding services, that is going to, I believe, I predict, and I think it's borne out by evidence, lead to an exodus of children from the school. And it's very likely to create a situation where the school really does become untenably small. And then the community needs to think quite seriously about whether it has a school that serves 50 children, grades K through 12. And so, like I said, it's not an on-off switch, but it's a very predictable outcome, although not guaranteed, but a predictable outcome of this step forward. Now, your question about whether we could tuition all students out, that's an interesting one. I don't know if a district can continue to operate as a
Operate, yeah.
shell.
Because they'd probably take your charter away.
Right. So I don't know that you couldn't tuition. I mean, I don't know. This
I
would
don't
be a
know
question
either.
for the lawyer, but I would find
Yeah.
it surprising if you could tuition all of your students out. The
Yeah.
question would be, could you tuition some of your kids out?
Right.
Maybe. But I think another problem with that is if the tuitioning is the route that the district decides to take, then that should be a process that is done carefully and thoughtfully
Yeah.
over time, not because you're pushed into a corner and have to react very quickly, which is what a second contingency budget would do. And the second issue is that with the coming of the reserve, right, families are moving in, the school should grow in population. And so now you're tuitioning, rather than tuitioning, say if you were to tuition the high school, rather than tuitioning 60 kids, in 5 years you're tuitioning 160 kids, right? Because you've got all these new kids
Right.
coming in. So are you actually setting yourself up in the long run for higher, more expenses by tuitioning now? And I think that's a question that
Yeah.
deserves some conversation. And I think the tuitioning conversation should be one that is had, but it needs to be had in a careful and considered way and not at the,
Yeah.
end of a gun.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Thank you.
There's also a couple of, just so you know, there's more issues too. For example, those numbers aren't complete because we still have to provide special ed services, which is,
And transportation.
and transportation and books. It's like
And your building maintenance.
that number
Right.
doubles
What are
or
we gonna do
triples.
with our building?
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, so much of our budget.
Not even our building.
Right.
Jeff,
I
is
don't
there-
even
is
think
it-
we own.
Jeff, is there anything
Plus,
you need to add?
additionally, remember that, for example,
Is there anything you'd like to add?
Carry on.
plus additionally, a prior board, not this board, but a prior board saw a cheap way to save on buses, and it turned around to bite us in the ass. Not us alone, but everybody else got duped into that because once you get rid of your buses, now you have no choice to pay what they want.
Yes.
So whatever the cost would be today, I'm sure local school districts would love to say, tuition your kids to us, it only cost you this. I can guarantee you in 2, 3, 4, 5 years, that's not going to be the price. They know we can't go back.
Right.
Just like the busing decision to get rid of our own buses, we're at their mercy. We could show up to a Monroe Woodbury board meeting, but they're going to be like, oh, Tuxedo, the couple kids from down there. Yeah.
The contract kids.
I don't think we're going to have that
Right.
much pull.
Contract kids, come on
So
up.
it's not just the numbers.
Right.
The numbers are actually a small portion of what we would save or not able to save. Losing home rule, there's so many other factors, which is why, as Bronwyn said, it's a long, lengthy discussion, which we've spoken before. It doesn't seem to be a reasonable solution this year or next year.
Got it. I just
But an
wasn't
austerity
sure.
budget gets us into that corner that Bronwyn mentioned.
And not, just to leave the kids aside for 1 second here, one thing is for sure, you know, regardless of the enrollment, is that the tax revenue is going to be significant. And that taxpayers should not worry at all that we're going to have exorbitant taxes
Yeah.
for the area, because, you know, we're on a pattern here of hopefully very sustainable tax growth. So
Okay.
that's,
As the superintendent
Something
pointed out,
points
we
out all
are
the
on,
time.
we have a good growth plan.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to definitely double, if not more, our numbers. So all those have to be factored in.
Okay. Thank you.
And just to add to Gary's point about,
You can sit down.
sorry, Erica.
You can sit
Just
down.
to add to Gary's point about, you know, would it go up? You know, you get a teaser intro rate. I believe Greenwood Lakes is experiencing that problem right now, where they made a decision to leave Tuxedo and to go out on the open market. They got a great introductory rate. Now they're hooked and they're raising the prices. So I think
We-
that would be something that we are all very
We've spoken
interested in
about that public
exploring.
before. Yes, but yes.
Yeah. No, I think that would be amazing to think if Greenwood Lake came back and the reserve, when the reserve is fully built out, we could have a school. In 10 years' time, we could have a school of a district with 700 kids.
manageable, excelling. Top
But
100.
all those things, the reason we are attractive to other districts is because we're running a small, great school, and yet we still have the lowest taxes in in Orange County. I mean, that's why everybody wants us. So we can either say, hey, that's great, they want us, we'll join you, or we can be like, wait a second, why does everybody want us? What are we doing here? What programs, teachers, admins, sports, STEM, what are we doing that everybody wants us? We shouldn't quickly give that up.
Jeff, did you want to add anything?
Sorry.
No, I think I think there was a question asked about did you ask would the state combine us or close us down?
Oh, I wasn't sure if, like, if the budget didn't pass, us combining with another district, would that be like a state? Would we be forced? Would we be forced to?
Not forced, no. The rules for any change in district boundaries or combination of districts is both boards of education have to approve that, and then it goes to the DS, the BOCES district superintendent, who's the commissioner's person in the field, and they would have to approve it as well. Anything like that would take a long-range plan because there are a number of very complex issues that go into it, including, for example, teacher contract. The districts have to go with the higher contract, so that cost could go higher depending upon which one it is. There's so many variables that go into this that it would take a while. You couldn't do it like a light switch. It'd have to be something that'd be studied over time. So I do believe this district has a extraordinarily promising future. I think the reserve is gonna make a significant change. I think we've got a strong budget, so hopefully the community will come out and support.
Can you list some of the things that we're doing to make sure the word gets out? The correct numbers and correct facts?
So we are putting out the budget newsletter, which includes the legally mandated 6-day notice will be going out, I believe, on Friday. And that includes quite a bit of information. We've also got all of the budget information on the district's website. We're also going to add a frequently asked questions section And I believe we're also going to be pushing out some sound bites on social media as well. And anybody that has any questions can feel free to reach out to me, call me, send an email, stop by the office, or Walter in the business office.
Or if you run across a board member in at a store, we'll
If you have the
answer
great
questions.
misfortune to run into one of us, we will probably talk to you about
On
this.
the train.
Talk your ear off.
Next public speaker, please, step up. Who's got number 2 in their hand? Who's holding number 2? Number 3?
I think that Walter had a couple good slides that should be shared out also, isn't that why? The one that showed like.
Erica, would you just talk into the mic so?
Or we can just give it, we can just.
Or yeah. Oh, you can hear her? Okay. I just want to make sure everybody hears your great comments.
I'll just get up. I'll do my steps.
Okay.
Walter had a couple of good slides that he showed. The one that showed like how much money it would actually like go up. Like it was like only $12 per month or
Yep.
whatever slide that was. That should go out because that just shows it.
Yep.
Like
This one.
Right, $200
most- I mean, I don't mean
$252
to
a
be rude,
year.
but most people don't want to read all the stuff. They want that.
Yeah.
So there was that one, and then I think, yep, that one, and then
The bottom
go,
line.
Go
This
the
way?
next way, yeah. After that, no,
I'm going backwards in time. You want me to go forwards
no,
in
go,
time?
go. Just don't mind me.
No, we'd like to know what you think is the most.
This one here?
That one, the if the budget impact one, that one
Okay.
would be good because that just shows it.
Yep.
You know,
Chris, I'm
again,
not getting the
no
budget
offense, good work,
presentation
but
here.
nobody
on the-
wants to read all. But that's
We would still ask if you could, when the budget flyer goes out, that you look at it and call if you have questions. But we will try to emphasize the couple slides or the points that show, get right to the chase.
I don't think a lot of people read mailers, to be honest with you, so I think you guys can really get the message out more on social media.
So do you think the most, how are you getting your information about the school? Because we want to make the information available to people. And so it's really helpful for us to know how we can put it in front of people. Because I know most people don't sit and watch these recordings.
Yes, I try not to as well, but I just walk down here and visit you all.
Yeah.
So, no, I think you need to get your message out on social media, Facebook, Instagram, do whatever you need to do. Mailers, they go right in the recycling bin. Like, a lot of people don't read those. But there is a contingency of parents that have formed a group that are very, very vocal online. And you need to be more vocal than they are. And you need to get facts out, and you need to get them out strongly. I don't hear your side of the story when you're on Facebook or other areas. It's this other group that is constantly posting in all of the pages that are circulating that have, these administrators that are posting all the time. You guys need to get your word out, and you need to get it better out on other platforms than mailings.
What is your name, please?
I'm sorry?
Your name, please?
Lauren Clark.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I mean,
Yeah, getting the information disseminated is really difficult. It really is something that we've run into. We've been told about it, but when you ask people, hey, can we have your email address? They're like, no. Hey, can we sign you up and send you just some stuff so you have an idea? So there's education here, and the answer is, well, not today. Thank you very much. So it's people seek a certain amount of confirmation bias, and it's kind of, it's difficult to overcome.
But I think
So-
we have the facts, and we need to meet people where they are. And I really appreciate those suggestions, and we will do that. Yeah.
I am off most social media, so I only see the couple Facebook groups I follow, which is like literally 2 handfuls. But one of them is the Tuxedo School District. And I get 4 messages a day of kids cooking and kids getting an award and this and that. Like, can't we just put every 4 hours one of our slides that Walter's shown us, the 100 slides that we've seen, and when we've gone through the 100, send them again 3 days later, just keep cycling. But that's what I see. I don't know what the public sees.
That's what you have to do. Yeah, that's what you have to do. You have to be on it. Like, put it out every couple hours. Or once a day.
I'm not on the gram.
I'm not on the gram
Yeah.
either.
Christina, could you explain to the public exactly what the process is for developing a budget, what the timeline is, who sets those dates, and why this hearing is now after we've already adopted a budget? I know that's been mentioned, but I'd like it to be very clear, because it's been suggested that we have done things in the wrong way.
Who
And yet-
suggested that?
Well, it's on social media.
Oh, you saw something on social media?
And,
You're saying there's something that's not accurate on social media?
right.
Oh,
Wait a
Oh,
second.
that can't
There's
be.
something about this school district's budget that's not accurate on social media?
Okay. So,
but
any-
just-
anyway.
We should fix
so going
that.
back to the
There is a
question, Bob, thank you.
timeline, there are dates by which the budget mailer has to go out, by which a budget has to be adopted, but also a date
Hold
for
on.
this hearing
Well-
set by the state. It is not an effort by this board to be surreptitious in any way, and in fact, the whole effort of the fireside chats was to gather information from the public beforehand, and at every one of these, what it will say, 10 meetings
Yep.
that
10
we've
meetings.
had, there's always been an opportunity for public comment, and we also now have the opportunity for people to email their questions in to be read at these meetings. So I would just like to clarify that nothing was done improperly.
Bonnie, any objections? I think Erica wants to add to your question.
you up on it. I got you, girl.
Can-
Okay. Go ahead,
Jeff,
you
did you
go.
want to answer
You
that
go.
question real quick?
Did you want to know the entire timeline or just specifically this particular?
I would
I
go
think-
through the whole timeline.
Yeah, I think the whole time, I think people need
It's
to know
published.
that it's every school district in the state
Has to
adheres
follow
to
the same
that
timeline.
Do you want me to answer?
Well,
Say-
let
let
me,
him answer, then you can-
let me first say that the hearing, because that's what I heard you say is the main question. The hearing is set, I believe it's Ed Law 2020, sets the date for the budget hearing. So a hearing is really a listening, and it's a time. I had Walter do a presentation because usually very few people show up to budget meetings. So I had him do a presentation, a final summary. It's not required. A hearing is really the governmental body, in this case the Board of Ed, is listening to the public about their commentary. Now, somebody could say, well, isn't it unusual to have a hearing after the board's adopted the budget? Well, that's why we had earlier on in the process, and we approved the budget calendar, we had a number of meetings asking for public input. So we already did that. So this is just, all these deadlines are set by law. If you want, I can rattle them off. But we followed the state mandated deadlines for everything, as every other school district has. We follow a strict guideline. Chris has her list from NISBA. I have something with all the education law next to them, all the citations. So we compare notes and we make sure that anytime we put out a budget calendar or we do anything, it's always with prescribed law.
So to be clear, the order of events, so to speak, is prescribed by law, but it was our initiative and option to go into the public 3 times, to invite groups to come to us, to invite meetings with individual groups, and to have 2 handfuls of extra meetings to get public inputs. Those were things we didn't have to do, but we did, because I would propose that no other school district in New York State has such ability and the actual meetings and opportunities for the public to give us input before we actually voted. So I would challenge anybody to show me one other district in New York State that provided more opportunity for public input. If you give me that, you provide me one, I'll give you $10, because I'm pretty sure no one will be able to do that.
And we had a remarkably transparent budget process this year where the public, to the extent that they were interested, and there were a lot of members of the public here over our many meetings, could observe the board deliberating about very difficult questions in public and responding to questions. We had at least a half dozen, if not more, students show up regularly to give their input. And so, to my mind, if a 10th grader can come talk to a bunch of us about a budget, really everybody had a chance to come and talk about the budget. So I think that, and a lot of people did. So we really made ourselves extremely available and open to hearing what people's input was. And to the extent that somebody feels they weren't heard, I would just encourage them to then attend a meeting and or send a comment or send an email. Like Bonnie said, we've really tried to expand, or come to a fireside chat. We've really tried to make ourselves extremely available and open to hear people's opinions. And please avail yourself of those many options.
Just to note, there is no public email for
Well,
tonight.
our comment email.
And the comment email, yes.
But
But
for
there's-
today's
there's
but
not one
none
today.
right now,
Okay.
yeah.
And for- yeah.
Oh, I was just gonna back up what you all were just saying. Apparently, the comment on social media, the person feels that if they were to express their views or make constructive comments today, that there would be no changes. So, like, why would they come to this, and why would this meeting be after you've already approved the budget? But I was just going to confirm the fact that I was here for many of the budget sessions, and a lot of times it was myself and another adult. There were also other people here at other ones that I was not here at. But I would like to note that some of the people who are complaining on social media also weren't here, so they really don't have a leg to stand on, and I hope really that they're listening. But they don't have a leg to stand on when they themselves did not participate in the sessions that you've had that were a lot of them. Like, it was
There were 13 opportunities for people to come to.
I mean, I don't mean to say it was a ridiculous number of opportunities, but it was a ridiculous number of opportunities to come out and say, well, I think that maybe you should look at this or that or whatever. So the fact that people are spreading that on social media and trying to get people to butt heads is really just ridiculous. And for anybody who's listening, again, 13, we have our math whiz over here, 13 times you could have come and said anything. So nobody should be complaining at this point. And I've made that point at another meeting as well. So kudos to you for having all those meetings, because 13's a lot.
We tried to have more, but some people, didn't want to meet with us, so.
Don't
Sick of
encourage
look-
them.
sick of looking at each
We
other.
tried to get that number up. We
Yes.
weren't satisfied with 13.
Put that in the positive press.
Any other speaker? Who's got number
Answer your
4?
question.
Number 4.
Oh, great.
Hi, good evening. I'm Michelle Watch. I just wanted to thank you because the numbers look good in the budget, and I know how much work that took and how important this is. And considering that for the past 5 years, is that correct, that we've been negative in tax increases?
No, but we've had over past 5 years, I think the number, Walter, was 4.4%. I can look it up for you because I know we,
I thought it was
Percent.
5.6 or 1.12 per
I'll
year.
give you the Walter number.
Yeah, it was like
in a minute, 'cause
1.2.
It has changed, but it's under 5%. It's under 1% a year for
Okay.
the past 5 years.
And would you say the other districts, the nearby districts, I would say were at least, if not double that?
I don't know how you could possibly operate a school with, with a 1% increase year over year.
It was,
The inflation rate was off the chart too. It was in a slide in the last.
I think the inflation
presentation.
rate was
23%?
24%.
Give me a second, I have it.
I was going to say it was about 5 times. We were 5 times below what we needed to be.
Yes.
Not 5%, like 5 times. Like
5 times.
5 to 25 to keep up with inflation. So if other schools did at least that, if not more.
Well, again, thank you. Thank you for clarifying those numbers. And I think this took a lot of work, and I was one of those attendees to one of your fireside chats that really clarified things for me on where we are as a community. So thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
The numbers that we got over the past 5 years, the tax increases have been 4.41%. 2 of those years have actually had negative numbers, where we've had a declining tax rate. And put up against the CPI for the state, if you guys remember, I think it was last meeting we went over, that this isn't necessarily a regional feature, it's a state feature, which takes into consideration Watertown, New York. The CPI over 5 years was 23.63%. So it's that really puts a spotlight on where we've been and what we're doing right now. And I certainly hope we can make some educated decisions going forward.
Any other comments or speakers or questions? Board, any questions, comments? Any other business to be conducted?
I just, two things. Bonnie, the Teachers Appreciation Day?
Oh, that's what I was going to,
yes.
are we only commenting on?
We're done with, we're at the point where it's any other business, new or old.
Well, I would just like to say that this is Teacher Appreciation Week, and thank the teachers for all that they do all of the time for our students, and also point out can't really see it at night, but the lovely mural painted by one of our teachers on our GGM windows here, which I think really brightens up the building. And I had the opportunity today, I haven't been in GGM other than this room and the library where we go for exec session, but today I had to go to the GGM office, and I was just so, my heart was so warmed by the artwork and the displays, and it is just the greatest little elementary school, and I wish I got to spend more time here, but I appreciate GGM today more than ever.
Should also congratulate Mr. Johnson and Mr. Chan. They were given an award. Am I correct on this, Mr. Chan? The NAM Award?
Should we make him come up and explain
Yeah,
it?
you want to explain exactly what that is? Come on up, because I know there's some significance to
One of our music teachers is here, so we're
impromptu. He's like,
demanding he come up because this is actually a big deal.
but just to give us a
Sorry to
little
put you on the spot. We didn't
little
tell you this. But can you explain what it was? Because it's, I understand what it is. I'm not sure people watching understand.
Yeah, so our music department got, it's called Best Communities for Music Education. We won it for 2026. Basically, they just look at everything that you do in your program. There's like a lot of stuff that goes into it, like, like what degrees do your music teachers have? How many courses do you offer? What grades? What after schools do you have? All of those things. So they look at all that, and then they decide if you're one of the best.
Terrific.
And that was us.
To be clear, our music program is one of the best.
Well
We're
done.
proud of you, and we know
Well
you
done.
guys put your heart. And every single one of the kids came up here and said, that music for us is sort of, one of the backbones of the school. And, it's really something that you guys, I think, touch individually, each kid. And it's incredibly special. So thank you.
Hey,
Thank you.
You do a
Yeah,
wonderful job.
appreciate
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Our concert is on the same day as the budget vote, so if you want to come, it's going to be really awesome. Kids have been working
Coincidental.
really hard.
Very nice.
Yes.
Excellent.
Very good,
Thank you,
thanks.
Mr. Chair.
Any other business board members?
Gary.
Yes.
I have a prepared statement, if I may.
Sure.
Thank you. Given the school's current fiscal situation, what some community members presented as a 0% tax increase is both unrealistic and would cause harm to our students, teachers, and the community at large. It is for this reason that I supported a 1.83% tax increase instead of 2.94 rate the majority of the board voted on. As elected board members, we have a responsibility to pass the budget, to compromise where necessary, and to protect our current students and teachers. The current budget, though not perfect by any means, in my view, is a step forward in the right direction. It is my hope that once the budget is passed, we can make the necessary reforms and improvements to set the school up in a more fiscally responsible and sustainable direction.
Thank you for that statement.
Thank you so much. You said it so well. Like, this is all about compromise, right? Like, this isn't, we're all trying to work together. We're making steps forward, and I hope that the community is really paying attention to that.
Here, here.
Yeah.
I'm just catching everybody's eye because making sure we're all
Yeah,
done.
you're catching the clock, too, I see.
That's fine. Seeing no other business, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So
Do
moved.
I have a second? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Good night, everybody.